Hello, my kako. Oh, it's really good to be back. That's a big room. So, I woke up this morning and I was super excited, and I was thinking, oh, we finally get to be in person. So I woke up really early, and I thought, what am I going to eat for breakfast? And so, my most favorite thing for breakfast? Corned beef hash. Okay, good. Okay. Yeah, I like that. So, not the fresh kind, right? The kind in the can. And so here's sort of what I was doing, right? So I'm kind of like, okay, I'm gonna have corned beef hash, get ready for the convention. And then it reminded me at the beginning, of the pandemic. And this was like March 2020, right? So right when the pandemic started, just lots of stuff happening. And, super focused on keeping our schools open, health and safety of our community, really, really important things. As a matter of fact, I think I have some of my team here. So I don't know if Daryl's here, Lauren's here, but they might want to wave because they did an amazing job, and Kevin. So I just want to give them a big, because our schools are doing amazing things. But I don't know, maybe kind of like a week or two into it, I was sitting in my office, and I was thinking, oh, you know what, I don't have enough corned beef hash in my house. Because like everybody was buying stuff, right? And I had not watched my supplies. And if you know my house, like we keep lots of supplies. Okay, we don't hoard because we're not supposed to hoard. And so I had just had this panic attack. Like, oh, you know what, I gotta go find corned beef hash. And I ran to all the stores. Every store was out of corned beef hash. Because all the stores, remember all the shelves were empty at the beginning of COVID? And I had that moment. And so I went all around town. It's the middle of the day, and I finally found one can. And so, and it wasn't even Libby's. That was the other kind. And so I saved that can, and I have it in my office in case something happens. But you know what I thought? I thought, I am becoming my popo, my grandma. And I don't know about your grandparents, but I know, my grandparents, like my popo, she stored rice. Like everywhere, every corner of her house had a bag of rice. Like it was in the bathroom, under the closets. And we probably had 100 bags of rice. And I remember every other day we'd go to, you guys remember Chunhoon Market? So we'd go walk to Chunhoon, we'd bring back bags of rice, and we'd just stack them. And we could probably go 100 years of rice. And so I remember I asked my mom, I'm like, why is it that we have so much rice? Like, why is it? And my popo would never say, right? She would never say why. So I asked my mom, like, how come we have so much rice? And you know what she said? She said, back when your popo was small, her grandparents lived through famines, and they wanted to make sure they had rice. And so she kept a lot of rice. And it's interesting how generation after generation after generation, you have that in your head. Like you have in your head what your grandparents put there. You have in your head what your grandparents' grandparents lived through. And those experiences, add up. And those mindsets are critical. So what I want to talk about today is, I don't know if my screen is up. I got to go to the right side. What I want to talk about today is what I presented to this organization in 2017. So right when we were coming to we're just getting off our strategic plan, and we're talking about all the things we have to do as an organization. And I remember thinking, we have frameworks, we got plans, we got lots of stuff. But the most important thing we need to think about is our mindsets. Like, how do we think? Because how we think is not just how we think. It might be how our grandparents think and how others before us think. So our work at Kamehameha Schools is first, and most importantly, even today we're still working on this, changing our mindsets, changing about how we think about things. Because with the wrong mindset, our work is really, really hard. Work is really, really hard. So the first question we asked is, do we have to choose between our culture and academic success? And I know that this seems easy sometimes, especially here, but think hard about this choice. Do we think somewhere, like corned beef hash, like in the back of our mind, that maybe we're not good enough? Maybe our culture and academic success, like we have to choose. We balance things. If we think about that, and you say, no, I really believe it, ask yourself, sometimes, do you think, oh, you know what, I got to get a Western model, just in case. Or maybe our culture and how we learn is not rigorous enough for engineering, and I got to go do something else, right? Or you might think, maybe my culture and academics don't work together. So the proposition we have is you have to be able to think that we can have both. Just as fundamentally, we can have our culture and academic success. You don't have to balance the two. But more importantly, our work in education is about our Hawaiian culture driving academic success. Through our culture, that's how we excel. That's how we find excellence in education. If we can get that mindset straight, our work becomes so much easier in all the things we do, and we don't have to worry that perhaps we're not good enough. So that's the first mindset we have to get straight, and it's still really, really important. Many of us were already there, and many of us are getting there. And that's okay, because like mindsets, hard to get there sometimes, but we got to keep working at it. The second one is community success or individual success. You know, a lot of times you think in your head, like, I'm going to do these things, and I'm going to be super successful. And then when I got time, I'll do some community work. Are they two different things for you, or are they, you have to choose between them, or are they the same thing? Because we have to think the individual success and the community success that you see are the same. So you cannot succeed. This is the way I always put it. Can we at Kamehameha schools, as an example, can we feel like, hey, you know, we're doing awesome work. We got world-class campuses, we're doing amazing things, but we still know that our community is in need. We still know there's so many of our kids we're not able to reach. How can we find ourselves to be successful if our community is not? So getting that mindset straight is really, really important. And understanding the success of one of us isn't going to matter unless all of us are successful. The third mindset we have to focus on is local or global. And we all do this sometimes. We all somehow think, hey, we do local things here, but are we good enough to be global? Or do we have to bring outside leaders to tell us how to lead in our own community? Or do we have to bring outside frameworks to tell us how to think about things? And the same here with the mindset is we got to believe when we do our things the way we do our things, we will lead globally. It goes with our culture. It goes how we approach community. With these mindsets, we can build an educational frame for our kids. And so one of the things this led to was on the development of AOLA. And AOLA for Kamehameha schools is our student learner outcomes. So it's basically every graduate out of our campuses, out of our preschools. This is what we aspire to. So we start, when we think about what our graduates need to have, we start with the foundation. We don't start with, we start at the bottom. We start understanding their culture, understanding they have to be grounded in their family, in their ancestral wisdom. They have to be grounded in their love and patriotism for their nation and for their Aina. And they have to be grounded in their Hawaiian values. That's their foundation. That's how we build from there. And as you build and think about educational frames, you think about from there, our kids will understand their responsibility to their community. They'll understand how they lead and how they have to be excellent at everything they do. And as we build up and we think about it, that's when you have that foundation, then all the things we need to have, from academic competence to global, to innovation and collaboration and problem solving, those things, those are like the leaves of a tree. And that's why we use a tree as an analogy, because you build up from the roots. And so when we think about our foundational mindsets and our kids, we build it through AOLA. And AOLA is about building up through our culture and understanding that our kids succeed best when they have pride in understanding their own identity and understanding who they are and why they exist. From this, many of you have seen, this is our student learner outcomes. And you know, one of the things we do in education, we try to do is repeat and repeat. And so we have this poster up, I think, in almost every classroom, every hallway. It's sitting in my office. It's sitting everywhere in the organization, because we as an organization and our 3,000 employees need to understand what we aspire to, what we have our kids aspire to. So AOLA is about building up from our foundations and making sure that we understand our kuleana to our community. And then when we do our practices, we do it with that foundation. That's the work over the last 5 years as we've been developing our learner outcomes. And as we talk about the different things and different ways this manifests itself, one of the things we've been doing over the last several years is making sure we connect not just with our culture here, but with our culture across the Pacific. And so one of the initiatives we've been working on with Dr. Randy Fong and Ho'okahua, and also with the University of Hawaii, Polynesian Voyaging, and also the Bishop Museum, we've been working on building partnerships throughout the Pacific to make sure our kids not only understand their own roots, but as it goes deeper into the Pacific and Moana Nui Akea, as it goes deeper into their history and their past, we've created 12 partnerships across 6 different countries to making sure our kids can connect and understand throughout the Pacific their work, starting in Aotearoa at the Kupewake Center, which is a sister center to our Ka'iwa Kilamoku on our campuses. Also with the Te Tii Marae and the Waitangi National Trust. So those partnerships we established in 2018, 2019, and 2020. Then to Alaska with the Sea Alaska Corporation, and also the Alaska Natives Institution. And then to French Polynesia with the Marae Tapu Tapu Atea, also with the French Polynesian government and the Pomare royal family. And then to Taiwan to understand the deep roots of our language and our culture, to the National Taiwan University and the Anthropology Department and the Kavignan Paiwan tribe. And then to Micronesia with the Master Navigators of Micronesia and Sarawal. And lastly, to Rapa Nui, the Foundation Ao Tupuna, and the Toki Rapa Nui and School of Music. These are the most recent ones we did. So 12 partnerships, and the importance of this partnership is for us to understand and our keiki to understand Aola in all of its depth and all of its breadth with a community that's not just here in Hawaii, but also across the Pacific as we look to our peers. And so what I want to be able to share with you is from this work, we really had, I want to show you an example in our classrooms of our kids. And this is one of the things we've learned through the pandemic is we can connect amazing roads all across the Pacific through our digital technology. So I want to share with you our kids connecting with their peers, their cousins in Chuk and Yap.
Due to climate change, sea levels have drastically risen, and even the ocean, like there's a school next to the docks, and then like the ocean goes into the schools, it goes to people's homes.
The thing is because the water is getting polluted like every day.
They were reconstructing the sand almost. They were like bringing in sand and trying to make raise the beach or make the beach larger to prevent it from erosion.
To be honest, it's like trash is just taking up most of our islands, most especially our shoreline areas.
Before it used to be a lot nicer, so we go swimming there like almost every week.
When it rains, like the soil gets eroded down to the shorelines.
The storm brought in so much debris from the ocean that we had to go and clean.
Because of sea level rise for our shores, we've had to move our crops, like yam crops, from where it's usually grown to a safer area.
The whole island was flooded by water, and it ruined all our plants and things that we planted for food, like taro.
I think we could reconnect ourselves back. This is just simply get into the water, and maybe with some elders, you could go fishing with them and stuff.
It's really comforting knowing that we're not the only youths who care and are eager to help and change the issues here on our islands.
I think we're not so different from all of us. With all of us living on the island and we're all connected by one big ocean.
We may have our differences, but we're all pretty much similar, and we are all connected by the ocean. Under the stars, enjoy the sailing of the canoes. Under the stars.
Just want to mahalo Kuhio, Robin, Michelle, for allowing Kamehameha Schools to be part of your amazing convention and amazing work. Mahalo, everybody. Aloha.